Okay, now let's look at some more examples, right? Um, Suppose we want in our tips data set, okay, so we have tips data set like this. We want a bar chart for lunch and diner counts. So how many people came in for lunch and how many people came in uh, for dinner, right? So time is the column that we want to plot, but we have to figure out the count ourselves. Okay, so we have to first set up the data that we want, say time count, right? So this is the time. Okay, so we want to set up time count. Okay, so that's equal to tips time, okay, and value counts. So when you do that, then you get the counts, and then we can take that and plot that. Okay, and once again, I'm going to, all right, so if you take the quick visualization that we did early on, so okay, so now you get the plots, and then we can add value labels. Okay, and suppose now we want not the count but the average tip, right, during lunch or dinner. Okay, average tips. Okay, so now instead of count, okay, so here instead of count we have to look at tips. Okay, so we have tips, tip. Okay, so this is what we want to consider. Okay, but we want to consider this column by segregating the time. Okay, you want the lunch tips, so all the tips for lunch grouped together and all the tips for dinner together. And for that, we have what is called group by. Now we say group by time. Okay, so now what we have is we have the tip from this data frame. They are grouped by time which is dinner and lunch, right? And then what do we want to do? We don't want to count them, we want the mean of them. So say mean. And we want to capture that in a variable, okay, and then we want to plot that. Okay, and then we can add bells and whistles after that, which we've already gone over. Okay, like set title, set x label, y label, x limit, y limit, and so on. Now, if you want percentage, you want tips as a percentage of the total bill. Okay. What's the average in terms of percentage? Then you have a couple of ways of doing this. And one is to set up a new column and then average those. Okay. Or you can find the total tips and then total bills for lunch and dinner, and then divide the two, and you can get in that way as well. So let's see how we're going to do this if we create a new column. Okay, so we call this tip percent. So that will be tips, right? Tip divided by tips total bill, and we're going to subtract out tip. The total bill includes the dinner plus tips. So we are taking tips out and then finding the percentage, right? So once we have that, then we plot that. Okay. Of course, we have to group by, so we say average tip percent is tips tip percent, and then group by tips time. Okay. And then we say mean. So that will find the average tips. Okay. So now we say mean. Now, if you want to plot this as 0 to 1, then we can leave it as is. But if you want to plot this from 0 to 100, okay, then you have to multiply this by 100. Say, let's assume that we want to plot it 0 to 100. Okay, and then